Welcome to Adelphi Sports Day. I'm Adam Clark and here's the latest sports news. The top story today, and the two Manchester clubs, City and United, will meet for the first time in the FA Cup history in the FA Cup final. History in the making, and our reporter Lucas Goulburn is live at Wembley with the latest. Lucas?
Yes, there has been Merseyside derbies and West Midland derbies in the FA Cup final, but never a Manchester one. Both clubs are setting up to face each other for the third time this season, and at least one team from Manchester will lift the trophy. The last time out was in 2019. Manchester City came out winners over Watford. And for the Red Devils, they are 12-time winners of the competition, the most in history. The last time they won it was in 2016 over Crystal Palace. However, both teams haven't played each other in the competition since 2012. Last time they did that, Manchester United came out on top versus Manchester City in 2012.
That may have been on penalties, but it was a deserved victory in the end, wasn't it?
Yes, United's form was in question heading into Sunday. However, they just edged it and probably deserved it. In a tight and scrappy display from both teams, the match finished goalless after extra time. And it was Victor Lindelof who scored the winning penalty after Solly March sent his effort over. Both goalkeepers had brilliant games and yet didn't save a shot in the penalty shootout. Now United are in for a domestic double.
And as for City, what a season it would be if they were to beat United in the final.
Yes, City are now in for a treble. Riyad Mahrez scored a hat-trick, which was enough to knock outside Sheffield United on Saturday. The victory also ended the Citizens' streak of 3 consecutive defeats at Wembley in the competition. For City's hopes of getting the treble, they have to face Arsenal on Wednesday and a semi-final again in the Champions League versus Real Madrid.
Yeah, basically, City are now potentially, it could happen. Is it going to happen, the treble? Probably not, let's be honest. But it isn't unrealistic to think about it. That's what I will say. The stars are aligning. We are in the semi-finals. There is a small matter, of course, of Real Madrid in those semi-finals. But we are now potential favourites for the Premier League. We do have to beat Arsenal, of course, for us to say that. So there's some big caveats there, if we're being honest. But one step closer, one realistic step closer.
Now both teams from the red side and the blue side will head to Wembley on the 3rd of June.
Thank you, Lucas. Now on to the Women's Super League, and it was a great day for the North West sides who all secured victories this weekend. Our football reporter Max Pebbody is here to tell us more.
Yeah.
Another great result for Man City as they continue their race for the title.
Yeah, a very convincing win. A quick-fire double in the first 10 minutes from Chloe Kelly, gave the Blues a perfect start. It allowed them to strive on and just continue the very good form they had recently with a convincing 6-2 win against London side West Ham. For the 4 goals, with the other 4 goals coming from Laura Coombs, Khadija Shaw, Steph Houghton and Mary Fowler. The victory allowed them to jump ahead of Champions League challengers Chelsea and Arsenal though. They're currently 3 points behind local rivals Man United though.
It wasn't as convincing for the Merseyside teams, but they both got the job done in the
end. Not as convincing as the 6-2 as Manchester City had. Liverpool coming from 1-0 down to beat Brighton with a double from Cherry Holland. It's the double. The 2 goals and the win steered them 9 points clear from the drop with 5 games remaining. But Everton came from 2-0 down to win 3-2 against Reading. But that win has seen them 15 points clear from the drop with a very small chance of getting Champions League football.
And what are the fixtures looking like for this weekend?
Manchester City play Reading on Sunday, while Man United play Aston Villa on Friday. But Liverpool the only Merseyside team in action this weekend, where they travel to Leicester.
Thank you, Max. And now it was a big game at Deepdale this weekend as Preston welcomed Blackburn, with both sides looking for a huge 3 points in their playoff push. Our reporter George Patton is at Deepdale. George, a disappointing result for both sides.
Yeah, it was a big opportunity for both sides. They really needed the 3 points. Blackburn was sat in 6th, still in the playoffs before the game, and Preston were down in 11th, but there are lots of teams quite close to those playoff positions. I spoke to both sets of fans before the game, telling us how important a win would be.
This game is like playoff final. If you win this thing, we go up.
How big is it for you to try beat Preston today then?
Massive, because of our 4-1 defeat.
It's massive in every way. They beat us this season. might be able to go up, and it's a derby, so we'll win.
Absolutely massive.
So do you think playoffs are still on the table, yeah?
There's an outside chance, but it's only slim. Only slim. We've got Sunderland, Sheffield United and Blackburn. To win all three will be a big ask.
And how big a game is it against Blackburn to try and get the win in?
It's fairly big. It's not as big as them down the road. Obviously, with them going down possibly these next couple of games, that's icing on the cake. But no, it's a big-ish game, but it's not the big game.
So they shared the points and now the nerves are jangling, right?
Yeah, it was a really good game. Preston started the better of the two sides and in the first half made some good chances, but coming out after the break, Blackburn looked great. Smodic had the ball in the back of the net, but it was ruled out for handball. But he did end up giving Blackburn the lead, sending the away fans into ruptures. But it was a late equaliser for Preston, an own goal by Hyam, who gave Preston a point.
So what's next for both the teams?
Well, both sides are still looking to make the playoffs. Blackburn now outside the playoffs, but only on goal difference, down in 8th at the minute. Preston a bit further down still, but they know that if they win both games, they can make it into the top 6. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But we heard from Ryan Lowe after the game, who gave his thoughts.
With 2 games to go, to give you a fighting chance of potentially, whether it's sneaking in or getting in, is some achievement, if you ask me. So I know the season's not done yet. We've lost a couple of games, yet we know we want to put that right today, which we have by, taking a point rather than 3. But we just look forward now to the next one, and the next one's going to be a massive one, because depending on how Sheffield United do on Wednesday and Middlesbrough do on the Monday, we don't know, but we know it's going to be a tough encounter to try and get in there, but it's one that we're going to give it a real push for.
Well, both sides still have a chance to make it into the playoffs, and we'll have to see how the rest of the championship season unfolds.
Thanks, George. And it's a big day for Burnley tomorrow, with the Clarets able to clinch the championship title against their bitter rivals Blackburn Rovers. A win at Ewood Park will see Burnley lift the trophy in the East Lancashire derby after previously winning promotion against Middlesbrough on Good Friday. Since then, Burnley have won just 1 of their last 4 games. In League One, Accrington Stanley travel to Bolton Wanderers on Tuesday night, with time running out to avoid relegation for John Coleman's men. A 1-0 defeat against Portsmouth, thanks to Joe Piggott's header at the weekend, sees Stanley sat in 23rd place, 3 points away from safety. But they could overtake rivals for the drop Morecambe if they win at the University of Bolton Stadium. Manager Coleman believes his sides are still fighting despite the results not going their way.
It's not dead. The only team we made ground today was Morecambe. Brilliant day for Morecambe. We've had 2 great days. We had a great day on Tuesday and we had a great day today. It still could be a few twists and turns. The effort's there. We've got to find a way to eliminate the mistakes. We're not throwing a towel in.
Carlisle United are fighting for promotion in League 2, and fans have been raising money for flags in honour of their heroes, past and present. Chris Cope and Rob Morley set up flags for United to bring more colour to Brunton Park in the form of banners which were displayed at the Warwick Road end. They also raised money for the community ticket scheme so those less privileged could attend the Cumbians game against Tranmere Rovers. Flag designer Morley admitted his joy when he sees his work displayed after the effort put in to create the prints.
I get a buzz off it when you think like that's something that you've sat in your kitchen or sat in the kitchen at the desk and you've like gone away, or if if with Chris you've spent like 2 weeks going backwards and forwards and thinking, what about this, and should we get this, and what size? And
the English Rugby League Committee has recently been pushing for improvements across the nation. They've been working side by side with all the Super League clubs to promote the sport in positive ways. One of these methods being to increase participation in all areas. Wigan Warriors have been working closely with the RFL and their touch rugby side to promote the sport. Their players and coaching staff have all been chipping in to do whatever they can to get the local community involved.
So the RFL are working with the Super League clubs and local touch rugby clubs to try and create a foundation within the community for people playing the sport. So at Wigan on Friday nights, we've started a league for people in the community that have either played rugby in the past, just want to keep the mental and physical health up and improve it, and basically just a nice way for a load of random people who don't really know each other to all come together and just play some good touch rugby.
The first woman of colour to become a race official in motorsport, Carol Glenn, says that she faced decades of racism during her career, including getting asked to do African accents while at the track.
I didn't really know for quite a while actually. It didn't really sort of sink in. I mean, obviously I knew I was different. And lots of people staring at me, but then I've got used to that because even during the job, you know, I'd end up going to work, do a job, and I got into IT, and I was again very unusual for a woman to be involved in IT, and much less a woman of colour. So I got used to being the first in that respect. People then also making what they want to call now as banter. Although I mean I'm a woman of colour, I'm born here, my parents had lived here right from the late 50s. They didn't have a Jamaican accent at all. You know, we were very much brought up as English children as far as I was concerned. So people think I can do a Jamaican or an African accent, and I can't. You know, people laugh if I try to do it because I just cannot do it because I wasn't. But then I get people doing a Jamaican accent at me, and you wanted to fit in, so you ended up laughing with them at yourself.
Now, Morecambe may well be known for football and boxing, but it's also been 40 years since the last karting World Cup took place in Heysham, as Will Knight reports.
To the ordinary eye, this place may just look like a nice view, a good place to walk your dog. But to older generations of motorsport fans, the site brings back memories of one of the best karting races in the country.
At the World Cup International Kart Championship at Heysham Head, Morecambe.
The Heysham Head World Cup ran from 1968 to 1983, and immediately the locals fell in love with it. Designed by Bert Hesketh, he wanted to bring an international karting competition into light after England's success at the 1966 Football World Cup. The race attracted many names, but David Eyre, who raced in every World Cup at the track and still races karts today at the age of 70, still remembers a particular F1 world champion at the event.
I used to race with Nigel Mansell in junior class, and I know in 1968 he knocked me. I've got a race report somewhere, and he actually knocked me off in juniors when I think I won 2 or 3 A's. And my dad played hell about it, and he actually got Nigel Mansell's licence took off him for 2 or 3 months for dangerous driving.
But the race wasn't just for the rich and famous, with many ordinary people driving alongside their heroes. After 26 years of international competition, the Heysham Head track closed its doors. To the average person, Morecambe's motorsports heritage is lost to memory.
And that's all the sport from the Northwest this afternoon. You can keep up to date with our latest news on our UCLAN Live page, and I'll be back in an hour.